Doing two player props here on PrizePicks, one MLB and one Wnba player prop here for Friday, June 30th. Before we get started, link is in the description below. You can sign up for PrizePicks there with a 100% deposit match. Discord link in the description. The main server is completely free. Patreon link in there as well, where I do post all the plays here that I'm making on PrizePicks for each given sport that I do play. Again, I'm not a gambling expert, and this is not financial advice. Simply just plays I'm personally looking at making. Hopefully give you guys some insight and analysis to then make your own player prop decisions here. No one's pressing submit on those parlays other than yourself. But let's get into it, you guys. It is Flex Friday over on PrizePicks, so $20 protected play. I got two plays that I am targeting from this slate. We hit on today's Friday. We hit on Wednesday. We had a green and a push, and we hit on both the YouTube plays yesterday. So on a nice 3-0 run, basically with the push, looking to replicate that, keep that going here tonight, Friday. Yeah, let's not waste any time, you guys. Let's just get right into it. So the first play is going to be a pitcher fantasy score from MLB, and it's going to be Bobby Miller over 28.5. So we just take a look at Bobby Miller and kind of how he is stacking up kind of against other pitchers on the slate tonight. And we got like Griffin Canning, Bryce Miller, Shane McClanahan's at 38. All these guys are higher than Bobby Miller. Peralta, Pablo Lopez, Kremer. We got guys here that are much higher than Bobby Miller, and I don't think they have the matchup like Bobby Miller has. So taking a look at this matchup, Kansas City versus Dodgers, obviously the weather, 35% chance of rain. I think if this game does get played, which I do believe it will, I don't think it's going to get rained out. Dodgers are minus 215 to win, 9.5 over under. The Dodgers have a strong chance of winning this game, being minus 215 on the money line. So that already helps Bobby Miller quite a bit here. He is 3-1, 4.13 ERA on the season. But we take a look at Bobby Miller. He's had his last two outings have been tough, right? He actually pitched pretty good in those first couple innings versus Houston, and then the Giants, when Bobby Miller faced them, they were on a hot streak. But I think he kind of settles in here. He started the season going 33, 37, 43, and 49 pitcher fantasy score through his first four starts. So we know he has the ability to cover this line. And then we take a look here. He's just kind of struggled, in my opinion, at home. Right, we took at Bobby Miller, like his best fantasy score game has come on the road at Philly, where he went 6 innings, gave up no earned runs, and had 7 Ks. And then he also had a nice 33 fantasy score game against at Atlanta, the hottest team, probably the best offensive lineup in baseball. In one of his first starts, actually it may have been his first start of his career. Yeah, his first start of his career, he finished with 33 fantasy, 5 innings, 1 earned run, and 5 Ks. So Bobby Miller obviously has elite stuff. He is an elite prospect in the Dodger system if you guys are unfamiliar with him. But you can see his splits on the road. I mean, he's made 2 starts on the road, 4 starts at home, 0.82 ERA on the road. Opponent's batting 179. He's got 12 Ks in 11 innings on the road this season. So maybe he kind of just locks in on the road. Maybe it helps him a little bit to pitch on the road. A lot of pitchers, some pitchers are like that. But I just really love the matchup. We take a look at Outlier. Again, there's a link at the top of the description of this video. You get a 7-day free trial with Outlier. Again, the best research tool in my opinion, guys. 7-day free trial. Their mobile app is a 10 out of 10. So make sure you guys check that out. But you can see here, Bobby Miller under 2.5 earned runs. He's minus 139 on Caesars and BetMGM. Minus 139 on Caesars to go under 2.5 earned runs. Under 5.5 hits allowed, he's at minus 145 on BetMGM, right? And then we took it under, I think, over 16.5 outs, minus 137 on Caesars. So we get some great odds here for Bobby Miller to, go over these lines that should help him get over that fantasy score hump at 28.5. I mean, just too low here, in my opinion, for Bobby Miller. I know he hasn't been pitching well his last 2, but we are going to take this fantasy score line at a discount. Hopefully he can lock in. It is a great matchup here against the Kansas City Royals. We take a look at starting pitchers' fantasy score game log this season against the Royals. So just take a look at, this is just some recent games, guys. Like literally since June 16th. Look how many players have gone over this line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of the last 1, 2, 3, 10 of the last 13 starting pitchers. Actually, maybe even more than that. 11 of the last 13 starting pitchers have gone over this line. Like 29 is what we need from Bobby Miller. Ben Lively against the Kansas City Royals on June 14th. Ben Lively, he gave up 10 hits, 5.2 innings, 2 earned runs, but had 4 strikeouts. He still cleared this line. 29 for Ben Lively. He gave up 10 hits in that game. So we know the floor for Bobby Miller is higher, I'd say, than most normal pitchers, but Kansas City has just been getting absolutely thrashed. We just saw Shane Bieber go for 46 fantasy, 6 innings, 8 Ks, no earned runs. Shane Bieber dominated them. We look at other like power right-handed pitchers. You can see Gavin Williams is kind of like that as well. He had 43. Tyler Glasnow had 48. Zach Eflin had 40. So, I mean, these are guys that are very, very similar pitch pitches to Bobby Miller, and they've been absolutely dominating versus the Kansas City Royals recently. Let's take a look at Kansas City. As far as against right-handed pitchers since June 1st, Kansas City has the third lowest ISO in baseball. Now, if you guys don't know what ISO is, isolated power, or ISO, is a sabermetric computation used to measure a batter's raw power. One formula is slugging percentage minus batting average. The final result may measure how many extra bases a player averages per bat. A player who hits only singles would have an ISO of 0. So you can see here, the Kansas City Royals have the third lowest ISO in baseball versus right-handers since June 1st. So they're not hitting righties very hard. Number one, Bobby Miller has elite swing and miss stuff overall. I think Kansas City, where are they? 11th most strikeouts versus right-handers over the last, since June 1st. If we move this to let's just say since June 15th, see if this moves up at all. This is on Fangraphs, by the way, guys. Yeah, Kansas City, 5th highest strikeout percentage versus right-handers since June 15th. So over the last 2 weeks, the 5th highest strikeout percentage versus righties, you guys. Their ISO is probably damn near at the top as well. You can see your 10th lowest ISO. So it's a great matchup for Bobby Miller at 28.5. I mean, we don't need a ton from him, like I said. I mean, the floor here for Ben Lively, all we need is maybe 5 innings, 6 Ks, 200 runs. I mean, that should be good enough for us here for Bobby Miller. Taking the over on this one. I love this play tonight. So that's the first play. The second play is going to be a WNBA first half prop. It's going to be another fantasy score, and it is going to be Courtney Williams over 12.5 fantasy score in the first half. So she just faced the LA Sparks. The Sparks and the Chicago Sky just played each other. So we get the same exact matchup here. And in that game, Courtney Williams had 25.7 fantasy. She's gone over this line in 3 of her last 3 games. And technically almost very close to 4 of her last 5, with a 12.2 barely missed here against Indiana. But Courtney Williams, she, like I said, had 25.7 fantasy points in this exact same scenario last game. 25.7. So we know the Sparks, they're not horrible at defending the guard position, but they do give up a ton of blocks and steals to guards. The most blocks in the WNBA to guards, as well as the 5th most steals to guards. I mean, we know they give up a ton of turnovers overall. I mean, the Sparks, they don't give up a ton of rebounds to opponents, not a ton of assists. And I think points-wise, they give up, right in the middle of the tier, 44.6 opponent points per game. But on the road, the Sparks have struggled defensively, and I think Courtney Williams will continue to take advantage of that. She did have her best game of the season versus Los Angeles, and she plays much better at home. We take a look at her splits. In 7 games at home versus 8 games away, she averages 9.4 points compared to 7.1 away. More rebounds, more assists, more steals, and a little bit less blocks, I guess. But she does take almost 2 more whole field goal attempts at home. Defensive rebounds go up, 3-point attempts go up, 3-point percentage goes up a ton, and then her field goal percentage stays relatively the same. But nonetheless, her stats go up tremendously at home. She averages 2.3 more points per game at home versus away. And then we take a look at Outlier again, or let's take a look at her first. This is her 7 home games this season. She's averaging, again, 14.6 minutes per game in the first half. This is her first half, by the way. 4 points per game, 2.6 rebounds, 3.4 assists, 0.6 steals, 0.3 blocks. So if we get some defensive stats from Courtney Williams, which is what we honestly need for this play to cash. I mean, she had 4 stocks in that last game against Los Angeles. Same exact scenario we get tonight. We take a look at Outlier. She's at minus 128 to go over 4.5 assists, minus 128 to go over 5.5 rebounds. And now, if you know about WNBA props, these are some pretty good odds. It's not like WNBA props are usually super juiced on the overs. So minus 128 on both her assist and rebounds to go over their lines. I like Courtney Williams here. First half, 12.5 fantasy score against the Sparks. I think she played extremely well, and I think obviously the coaching staff probably going to go back to her, have a ton of usage in this first half. So here are the 2 plays here for this YouTube video. Bobby Miller over 20.5 pitcher fantasy. Courtney Williams over 12.5 fantasy. Both these games start around 5 p.m. Pacific. Flex Friday on PrizePicks. Let me know in the comments what you guys feel about these 2 plays. Drop a like on this video. Hit that subscribe button. As always, let's cash.